Beloved, when I was out recently, I was in the company of some people who said that they believe that these are the last days. They said this because of how bad things seem to be in these days. I cannot disagree that these days seem bad. But beloved, Jesus himself said that that only God the Father knows when the last days will actually be. So when people say such things, I find it a little amusing to watch seemingly mature Christians acting like they know better than Jesus. And I find it a little concerning because if they actually believe that these are the last days, and how are they living in what they believe are the last days? Now, in truth, because we are temporal people, to some degree from the time of your birth, you are living in your last days because you are not going to live forever. But to lump on top of your mortality some sense of prophetic understanding of things that you absolutely, at least according to Jesus, cannot know, is to me a colossal waste of time and life. Instead, beloved, with a sense of the temporal nature of our current existence, what is a better pursuit? To me, the better pursuit is to answer a simple question. How are you living? You see, beloved, how you are living is more important than whether these are the last days or not. And in terms of how you are living, the Apostle Paul wrote in Ephesians 5, verses 15 and 16, "Be careful then how you live, not as unwise people, but as wise, making the most of the time, because the days are evil." So, beloved, while Paul did not predict the unpredictable or pretend to know the unknowable, Paul did acknowledge that these days, his days, were evil. Beloved, the days we live in, to one degree or another, are evil. So what are we to do? Again, how are you living? Paul gave three incredibly important commands. First, be careful. Second, be wise. Third, make the most of the time. Beloved, Paul wants us to live with a sense of concern, discernment, and action. Beloved, Paul did not want us to live with a sense of worry, foolishness, and wastefulness. You see, if you live as Paul was suggesting, then you will be less concerned about the last days and more concerned about saving souls. You see, if you live as Paul was suggesting, then you will be less preoccupied with the last days and more preoccupied with discerning God's plan, purpose, and passion for your life. You see, if you live as Paul was suggesting, then you would find conversation about the last days unfulfilling and seek to find more ways to love God and to love others as Jesus commanded. So, beloved, how are you living? How are you living in your last days? Not necessarily the last days of this earth, but your last days. Are you living with a sense of concern but not worry? With a sense of discernment but not foolishness? With a sense of action but not wastefulness? How would God want you to live? Beloved, live that way. And while you are living that way, remember that God loves you, and I love you too. Be blessed.